Hi, it's TJ, the Motor Sage. Today's the first day of fishing in the state of Pennsylvania, and I went around the lake, and for a small lake here in this town of Smethport, had about just a rough estimate of about 500 or 600 people standing around that lake. So much so that there are only a fishing cast away from one another. A little bit too tight for my taste for fishing, so I decided to hold off for during the days of the week rather than going fishing on the weekend. So there'll be fewer people, but likely there'll be fewer fish, but that really doesn't bother me either. I like to go fishing because it reminds me that Jesus in fact called a fisherman as he went to the Sea of Galilee and gathered together James, John, Peter, and some others to be his followers, to be his disciples. And one of the first things he asked for after his resurrection was for something to eat, and they gave him fish. So, being a person who likes fishing, likes to go fishing, but does so in a smaller, more cozy sense, I'd like to read to you from the Gospel according to St. Luke.
Jesus himself stood amongst them, but they were startled and frightened and supposed that they saw a ghost. But he said to them, "Why are you troubled? Why do questionings arise in your hearts? See my hands and my feet, that it is I myself. Handle me and see, for a spirit has not flesh and bones as you see that I have." And while they still disbelieved for joy and wondered, he said to them, "Have you anything here to eat?" They gave him a piece of broiled fish, and he took it and ate before them. Then he said to them, "These are my words which I spoke to you while I was still with you, that everything written about me in the law of Moses and the prophets and the Psalms must be fulfilled. Then he opened their minds to understand the scriptures and said to them, "Thus it is written, that the Christ should suffer, and on the third day rise from the dead, and that repentance and forgiveness of sins should be preached in his name to all nations, beginning from Jerusalem. You are witnesses of these things." The Holy Gospel of our Lord. It's Sunday afternoon now, second day of trout season, and the weather's changed a little bit. Sun's gone. The wind is pretty strong coming across the lake here in Smethport, and quite a few winds blowing. Very few people out fishing, not nearly the hundreds that I saw here yesterday. And it seems from reports that the fishing, though there was a lot of folks out here, wasn't too successful. The fishing wasn't that good. Now, those reports may be wrong, but fish don't seem to bite as they should sometimes. That's the way things are when we're trying to proclaim the gospel of God. It's funny how doing evangelism and doing fishing is kind of linked together somehow. See, the first century, we find that the cross wasn't the symbol that was used to designate Christians. The first Christians were known by the sign of the fish. Ichthus is the Greek word for fish. Ichthus. Well, the I in the Roman Empire was the same as the J. And if we translate what ichthus meant, as it was ascribed on the sign of the fish, is Jesus Christ, the Son of God, is what the inscription meant, Ichthus. That was a sign of the first Christians, and a sign that was found on up into the advent of the 3rd century. So fishing, you see, is a Christian thing. Not only did Jesus call fishermen into being apostles, but he calls us to think about him every time that a holy meal is gathered. You see, holy meal was fish, bread, and wine. And we give thanks to God for all of those things in our lives. And each time we partake of them, we should remember about the salvation that is offered to us. For we are saved by faith, by grace, through faith given to us in Jesus Christ, and not by what we do, whether we're good fishermen or bad.